There we go. Now my avatar's up there. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what was going on, but my avatar wasn't popping up. That was interesting. Don't know what was going on there, but it was interesting. So let's see. What is going on in the world this morning besides the usual nonsense? A lot of crap, a lot of stuff been heard about the Oscars last night. Couldn't care less. I don't watch them. I haven't watched the Oscars in probably 30 years. While they've always been slightly political, I've never really cared one way or another about them. So, but if you've got something you want to say about the Oscars and you want to join in, then go for it. I don't care. Let's see here. Gone live if anyone cares. But let's see. What happens there? All right. Nothing there, nothing there. And okay, come over here. I'm looking here and here. All right. Okay, come over here. I'm looking here and here. All right. Okay, come over here. I'm looking here and all right. Okay, now then. I think I've got this set up the way it's supposed to be. Who knows? Who cares? If somebody shows up, somebody does. If they don't, they don't. Oh. Somebody wants online, they'll text me or they'll message me through Twitter. And I'll be more than glad to let anybody on that wants to come on. There was an interesting one last night, and interesting thing I saw somebody, Skeptalk, I think, kicked it out there. Young lady, I'd say she's 16 at the youngest, maybe a little younger, but 16 to 18. Let's give her that age range. And she is going on beat in her. She was in a car, and she was. That's why I think she may be 18, between 16 and 18. And she was beating on the dash of her car, punctuating how the cops that shot that 13, 16-year-old girl should have known better, should have used their de-escalation training, how they should have done this and that. And I just sat there and I'm watching that and I'm starting to laugh. And I'm like, okay, this is how this is going to go. There is just too much fun here. She's got all the words down. She's got everything down the way it's supposed to go. She knows exactly what she wants to say. She's got the phraseology just right. So she has been paying attention to what the progressives has got going on out there. Yes, she's got it all right there. She's ready to rock and roll. Problem is, she's got the beat on the dashboard. She's got that down right. She's got the words. She's got the intentional unattractiveness going on. She's got everything she needs to be that feminist that, yes, she wants to be. She wants to be that feminist. She wants to be that progressive. She wants to be that perfect person. Problem is at her age, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Y'all didn't need to hear that cough. I guess 30 years, even though I quit smoking 10 years ago or better, I guess 30 years of smoking has still left me with a little bit of a cough. But that's all right. My lungs are clear, and that's all that matters. But it was all a good thing. It really was. I'm so little irritated. I've had it with so much of this stuff. This gun control. Let me jump on my favorite. Let me jump on my favorite issue here. Everybody's got their own little soapbox that ticks them off. For some people, it's the First Amendment. For other people, it's feminism. For other people, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. If I have one soapbox, it's the Second Amendment. There's just something about that Second Amendment, and it's the only amendment that has three very important words on it. Shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed. Now, we've all had and heard and listened to people, break down the Second Amendment. Take it word by word, phrase by phrase, and it's and I know I'm stuttering a little bit here this morning, but there's just parts of it that has got such a meaning. Okay, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay, well-regulated at that time meant well-trained, as I understand it. The people had what they needed. They knew how to use what they had. Well-regulated. It's not that they were regulated by laws. They weren't regulated by rules. The people were well-regulated in the use of their weapons. Being necessary to the security of a free state. The people are the state. And in order for you to be free, you have to be able to defend your freedom. You can't be free without being able to defend it. The right of the people. Now, every time the founders wrote the people, they meant the people. They didn't mean the state. When they meant the state, they meant the state. When they meant the governor, when they meant the legislative, when they meant the judiciary, when they meant the army, they were very specific. The right of the people, that's you, me, everybody else. To keep and bear arms. To keep and bear arms. Arms, that's weapons, period. Plain and simple. You have the right to keep your weapon. And it was up to you to keep your weapon in good working condition. It was up to you to keep your ammunition. It was up to you to have all this stuff that you wanted to have. Shall not be infringed. Those 4 words, this is the only time that they pop up in the Constitution. Shall not be infringed. And it can't get any simpler of a language than that. Now, you have people on the left. There's two big issues that always draw a battle. The first issue is gun control, an enumerated right. The second issue is abortion, an unenumerated right. Now, just because a right is not enumerated does not mean it doesn't exist. The founders stated that quite plainly, that you have other rights not listed in the Constitution and in the Bill of Rights, in the first 10 amendments. It's just those 10 amendments contain the rights of the people, not granted by the state, not granted by the government, not granted by the county or anyone else, but granted by God. These are rights you were born with. There could be other rights, but the rights that you were born with, in the view of the founders, were the ones listed in the 10 amendments, first 10. The right to have an abortion was not settled until as an unenumerated right until much, much later. But if you listen to the people on the left who are normally anti-Second Amendment, they believe there should be no restrictions whatsoever on the right to an abortion. Just as I believe there should be very, very few restrictions on the Second Amendment. Yes, no right is unfettered, is unlimited. Even the founders, if somebody was in jail, they didn't have the right to a gun. If somebody was in prison, they didn't have a right to a gun. And unfortunately, if you were a slave in a slave state, you did not have a right to a gun. So even then, there were limitations on the Second Amendment, but there were very few. Once a person got out of jail, once a person was out of prison, they're given their guns back. They could buy their guns. Once a slave became a free man or woman, they got their guns back. Now that I'm going to go off on a slightly tangent here. In today's era, many states restrict the right of felons or anybody who had been convicted of a felony their right to vote. And I've never had a problem with that. Other states even allow felons in prison to vote. And if that's what that state wants to do, that's fine. That's up to the individual states. And here we go on yet another tangent. The United States is a union of 50 individual sovereign states. Each state has the right to set their laws that do not violate the U.S. Constitution as they wish. And the Constitution specifically states that each state can set their own election laws. And there is the one little codicil in there, about 4 or 5 words, that the Democrats in Congress right now are hanging their hats on to take over and federalize all aspects of the voting. But that's yet another tangent. This is how this goes. You see how the Constitution and everything in it is so integrated. What affects one affects another. The right to vote, the right to own a firearm, even the right to have an abortion. These are rights that have been guaranteed by the Constitution in one form or another, but the states have authority over them. And by court rulings, states have been allowed to restrict some rights and not restrict other rights. And while I agree that the Second Amendment should have some restrictions, should some people be restricted from owning a firearm? Top of my list, anybody convicted of a violent felony. If you've been convicted of a violent felony, you should not have a right to a gun. Now, the Democrats pushed through making misdemeanor domestic violence also something that prohibits you from owning a firearm. I totally disagree with that. Totally disagree. And I can get into that discussion later on if somebody wants to. And if somebody wants to come on and discuss that with me, I'll be more than glad to have anybody come on and discuss it with me. But anyway, I want to be able to have people come online, or I want people to be able to discuss things. The world and I don't care. The country is falling apart. We are in a mess. We really are. And why are we in this mess? Because what we have turned around and done is politicized every issue. The Constitution doesn't stand for what it was meant to stand for anymore. And that's a crying shame. That is absolutely horrible that we have allowed politics to so infect the Constitution that we have allowed the liberals have to believe one thing, conservatives have to believe another. If A is for this, B is against it. If B is for this, A is against it. The people aren't looking at what is actually said, what is actually meant. I'm just as guilty a lot of times. I take a look at things that Pelosi says or AOC or Ilhan, any member of the squad. And the first thing, and they say something on the surface, I'm going to say, yeah, that I agree with you on this, but I've got to look a little deeper into what you're saying before I'm going to come out and support you on what you said, because I don't trust you. Same thing goes the other way. Ted Cruz says something. Lindsey Graham says something. A lot of people on any side of the bargain doesn't trust everything Lindsey Graham says. But people come out and say things, and the people on the other side of the aisle, while they may initially and on the surface say, yeah, okay, I can see where you're coming from, and this is right, but they won't support it until you turn around and get this and look deep into what they're saying, and where's the back door, where's the trap, where's the trap and what's being said. So I'm going to go back again to the Second Amendment. One of the things the left does that really irritates me is their disinformation, their outright lies. We'll start with the big one, assault weapons. The AR-15 is a weapon of war. Oh my God, that lie is so big, and I'm so tired of hearing it. That the AR-15 cannot. The AR-15 was developed in the 60s. It has always been a single semi-automatic rifle. It started off as a hunting rifle. Yes, it is a hunting rifle for a specific sized game. Bear? No. Some deer, depending on the state you live in. There's a lot of things that go into it. I've had several hunting rifles, ranging from shotguns to handguns to 30-06 to 30-30s. It was all depending on what game I was going after. And in the shotgun range, I've had everything from 410 to 12 gauge. And again, depending on game. Then even with the type of bullet or shell I was using, depending on what type of game I was going after. If I was going after rabbit, if I was going after pheasant, if I was going after deer, if I was going after fox, if I was going varmint hunting and trying to knock out the gopher sitting in the going through the cow pastures. Different guns, different ammo for different jobs. Yes, I know I'm rambling. I got home from work this morning at about 7:15, went to bed, and at 8:30 the boss calls me and wakes me up. I laid here for about an hour and just could not go back to sleep. And obviously there's nothing on TV and nothing else going on. So I decided that I would pollute the YouTubes with my voice. It is what it is. And it will be what it turns out to be. Oh, I tell you what, let's take a look to see if there's something here on Twitter that I may want to talk about. Throw my opinions out there. Jack, I still hate you for that Dr. Fauci song you threw up. Oh my God. Now, you've ruined a song for me. You've ruined a song. That absolutely hurt. Oh, I saw some posts the other day, people making fun of English breakfasts. So I decided to try making one of theirs. There's one popped up. I had no idea what it was. It wasn't the beans on toast one, and it wasn't the one with a bunch of tomatoes and such. So I looked it up, and it's called a toad in the hole. And when I first saw it, I said, okay, this sort of looks like it's going to be sausages and a pancake-like batter. Just by the looks of it. Well, I was kind of close and kind of not. It is a flour and egg batter, but it's not as thin as what I thought it would be. And I got looking a little bit more at that recipe. It's like, this thing needs some more stuff thrown to it. So I added some bacon. I always keep bacon in the refrigerator. I cut it up, fried it up, drained it, and added that. Same thing with some sausage, breakfast sausage. Just crumbled it up, fried it up, drained it, added that into it. Then some onions and some bell peppers. Mixed it all up, threw it in along with some link sausage that I just cut to bite size instead of crumbles, and put it in a cast iron skillet that I already had good and hot, and tossed it in the oven. I'm telling you, that was actually, and then went to eat it. I shredded up some cheddar cheese and put that across the top of it and let it melt down as soon as it come out of the oven. That was actually very good, but it was heavy. 2 hours. I had a piece, 3 inches wide and maybe 4 inches long. And 2 hours later, all I wanted to do was sleep. And my wife was the same way. That thing just sat in the stomach. It was a heavy breakfast. Good. And we're going to make it again. And I'm probably going to lighten up a little bit more on the batter than what that called for. So it won't be quite so heavy. I may even use some almond flour in it to help cut down on the carbs. But yes, it was good. And I was teasing Alex, irate Alex, that I was trying some English breakfasts, but the changes I made to it, and he got a giggle out of it by the looks of it. He thought it was funny. Another issue we got talking about, again, when it comes to rights, was who should be able to vote. And I mean, I thought that was, again, at one time, I thought that was pretty much settled. American citizens, basic qualification. You must be an American citizen to vote. Now, why some people don't want to change it, I'm going to go with the first answer that pops to mind. It's a way of grabbing more power. It's what they want to do to grab more power. Sorry, had to do another cough there. And I think everything boils down to power. I think that's the thing. Is it all boils down to who wants to have the power, who's going to grab power, who wants. There are some people out there that want the power to tell everyone else how to live their lives. They can't go out there and say, I want to represent you in office, and unless it directly affects the human condition, it's none of our business. Unless it directly affects us as a nation, it's none of our business. Unless it starts to infringe on our rights, it's none of our business. Congress, there's an epithet that that the newsmakers love to throw out against Congress and call them a do-nothing Congress. Well, I sort of like do-nothing Congresses, because that means that they haven't done anything. That means they haven't done anything wrong to infringe on my rights. They haven't done anything wrong to infringe on your rights. They haven't raised taxes. They haven't made more laws that you break without knowing you break. You've broken a law and didn't even realize that law existed until you've broken it and you're getting punished for it. And our Congresses are lazy anyway. They love standing, and it doesn't matter, Republican or Democrat, they're all the same. They sit up there and say they're going to do something. We're going to create a new agency. We're going to create the National Education Agency. We're going to create the Arts Agency. One of the NEAs, then we're going to create this agency. We're going to create that agency, all to take care of a specific issue. And then they turn around, they give these agencies the power and the authority to make regulations, not laws, but regulations. But those regulations, if you run afoul of them, you can still go to jail. You can still get fined. And guess what? Those agencies then, they're no longer controlled by the Congress. Congress has congressional oversight. But that's it. The agencies then follow under the executive branch to the president, and the president, with a stroke of the pen, executive orders, can make changes that he wants because these are his people, and he's the one that determines how they do their jobs. And whether Congress likes it or not, because he's got the authority to do so. Now, Congress can take them to court and have the courts override an executive order. But that doesn't happen nearly as often as it should. Obama should have had the DACA should have been overturned to start with from the very beginning. The stupid Republicans should have taken that to court, but they're afraid of being called meanies. Now look at the mess we're in. Immigration is another issue that's the hot button with me. I remember Reagan and the Democrat Congress at that time with Tip O'Neill. They'd come to an agreement. If Reagan would sign off on amnesty for several million people, Congress, led by the Democrats, would tighten immigration. They would put more people on the borders, secure the borders. Well, Reagan signed the amnesty bill. And all of a sudden, all these illegals became eligible for citizenship. They were allowed to stay in the country along with their families. And once they were allowed to stay in the country legally, then they were allowed to bring in more of their extended family, brothers, aunts, uncles, nephews, sisters-in-laws, brothers-in-laws, grandparents, grandchildren. So for every one person that was granted amnesty, that opened the door to 10, 12, 15 more people being eligible to come into the country legally. But Congress, the Democrats, they reneged on their end of the deal. They did not tighten up immigration controls. They did not put more people on the border. They saw a good thing. They found a way to get more voters for them because they were able to go to these newly legal people in the country and say, look what we did for you. We got a Republican president to make you legal. If it weren't for us, this never would have happened. And now look at what we've got for an immigration issue. Now, the media likes to say 10 million. I am personally of the opinion it's up to around 40 million illegals in the country. Yeah, I still go by that 40 million number. There may be 10 million that we know of, but for every one we know of, there's going to be at least 4 that we don't. What are we doing about it? What are we doing about it? Obama's opened the southern border. Biden. He's opened the southern border. And we're in trouble. We're just in trouble. And there's nothing we can do about it. Absolutely freaking nothing. Because he's put all his people in positions He's telling them to ignore the laws and to allow everybody to come in. They're catch and release. They used the pandemic to lock us all down for the past year, but they're letting these, they do a test on them and cut them loose. How many thousands and thousands of COVID carriers have gotten into the country? And I'm using that saying, hey, if their Democrats are using that as a reason to shut the country down, not let people go to work, why are we allowing people to come into the country that way? Airlines are saying that they're going to start requiring people to prove that they've gotten their shots before they'll let them get on planes. Really? You're going to make me violate my HIPAA rights and disclose my medical information? But you're going to allow illegals to get on the plane regardless? All they got to do is show that they were here illegally, and boom, they're allowed to fly wherever they want. I love this country. I really and truly do. But I get concerned about what's going on in this country. I'm scared to death about what's going on in this country. I really am. Will my 2.5-year-old grandson grow up in a country that I recognize? At this point, I don't think so. I don't think he's going to recognize the country. But what can I say? There's not a whole lot we can say because the Democrats are the ones in power. We can say a whole lot. We're going to get called racists. We're going to get called xenophobes. We're going to get told to shut up, that we're not in charge anymore. And that's what's going to happen. Okay. But it just isn't there. It just isn't there for us. No matter what we do. Because the Democrats control it, and they're hell-bent on allowing as many people in the country as they can get in. And it's going to take another election, and it's going to have to take a clean sweep of the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And the people that's going to be hard. But it's going to be even harder to get people in office that are going to do what they need to do, that are going to need to write law, not executive orders. Executive orders, as we've seen, don't mean squat from conservatives, from Republican presidents. Obama's DACA executive order was allowed to stand when Trump tried to reverse it. But Trump's executive orders have all been flipped over. Now, none of the weak-ass Republicans we've got have really done anything and filed suit on them. Taken it to the judiciary and tried to keep them in place. something the Democrats were able to do. I think we need to get back to having the part-time Congress, the part-time politician. I think we need to get back to, for every time a law is written, 5 laws need to be rescinded. Clean up the books. Get rid of the stuff that's sitting out there that's not needed. I think there's a lot of things we need to do, to be honest. We need to get back to having a sense of community. We may not agree with our neighbors. Across the street from me, that's funny. The lead up to this last election, now my wife wouldn't let me put up any Trump banners outside because she was afraid of our vehicles being damaged or something else because of all the lunatics out there. But 2 of our neighbors who are friends, one had a Trump banner in his yard, the other one had a Biden banner in his yard. And they flew well after the election. But that's what you can be friends, you can be neighbors with people you disagree with. And that's lost. That's really and truly lost. And yes, even there are people, if AOC or Ilhan Omar or any member of the squad tried to, called me up and, hey, Shroom, I think you and I need to sit down and become friends. Don't know if I could do it. I really don't. One, my opinion, AOC, she's simply a Greenpeace communist. Ilhan is a racist Muslim to She's anti-Jewish. 2 of the 3 there absolutely hate the Jewish people in Israel and want to see them wiped off the map. I couldn't be friends with somebody like that. Not in good and not in all, and be truthful to myself. Somebody like Chuck Schumer, there's no way I could be friends with somebody like Chuck Schumer. That lying, hypocritical bastard. How can you be friends with somebody that was throw a knife in your back while talking to you into your face? I couldn't do it. But these are the people that are in Congress. And that's what is so stupidly scary about it. These are the people we have in Congress. People you can't trust. Now, are there some Republicans out there I couldn't trust? Yeah, Lindsey Graham's one I couldn't trust on a bet. For a while there, I thought he got his spine back, and that he'd had a come to Jesus moment, but that was wrong. There's no way. By the way, if there's anybody that wants to come online and talk with me, argue with me, discuss with me, agree with me, I don't care. Hit me up on Twitter. Send me a DM. I'll shoot you a link. I've been talking to myself here for about an hour, thereabouts, I would guess. And I mean, that's fine. I'm, like I said, I woke up and couldn't go back to sleep, and well, figured I'd try something else. Try to do this and have some fun with it. Hope maybe I got a hold of somebody to pop online. Yeah, it's been 53 minutes now. You gotta remember to keep a look at that timer up there. But oh God, Nancy Pelosi. As we close out Sexual Assault Awareness Month, we recommit to combating sexual violence and demanding accountability. Really, Nancy, how about male victims? I just read another article last night about a woman, female teacher, 14-year-old student, had sex with a 14-year-old student on the last day of school because he looked like a stud. That's rape. That's rape, Pelosi. Why don't you come out for about male victims of sexual violence? I get tired of hearing about, you guys are always, you act as if women are never the perpetrators. Oh, this is the kind of stuff that makes me mad. This is the kind of stuff that makes me mad. That I see that and it's like, why? Where is the honesty in your proposal? Where is the honesty in what you're saying? Where is the honesty in what you claim you're trying to do? You're not looking at you're pitting one group against another. Oh, only men are violent or are rapists. Only men will do that. Only men sexually assault people. Well, when you write it in the law that way, then you're right. Only men will sexually assault someone when you write it in the law that way. But what do you call it when a 30-year-old woman seduces a 14-year-old boy? Yeah, I know you say the boy's lucky, right? That boy isn't smart enough. He's not in control of himself yet to know what he's up about. And all he knows is that he's got a hard on and the teacher's making him feel good. What in the world? See, the pure hypocrisy of it, that's what always kills me. That is always what kills me. Oh, man. I'm not saying only Democrats are hypocritical. There's things I know there's things out there I've got to be a little hypocritical on. I know there's going to be issues out there that I'm not straight on it. Okay? I'm not claiming, I mean, anybody that says that they've got no hypocrisy in their system at all, they're a liar. Or they're not looking at themselves correctly. They're not putting any thought into it. But when it's our senior leadership who sit there and make their hypocrisy just stand out like that, that just absolutely kills me. That just absolutely kills me that they do that. But what can I say? I mean, there's not a whole heck of a lot I can do about it. All I can sit here and be that angry old man, shake my fist at the sky like I've been doing for the past 59 minutes, shake my fist at the sky, yell and scream at things, which is what I've been doing. Shaking my fist at the sky, yelling about the issues that just gripe me to no end. Oh, God, I just can't. Oh. I don't know, people. I'm probably going to delete this stream. Nobody's popped on to listen to it anyway, so. Yep, I mean, I'm still the only viewer on it. I don't know if anybody else has even tried to look at it. I don't know if anybody's looked at my last stream that I had. Let's see. Did anybody even look at my last stream that I had? I doubt it, but I'll take a look. Let me see here. Let me come to my channel. Oh, I had somebody watch the Wandering Thoughts I did a couple days back, 46-minute stream. Oh, interesting. Oh, I actually got a thumbs up. No comments, but a thumbs up. Well, that's better than nothing. That's better than nothing, I guess. I really do wish somebody'd leave me comments so I know what's going on. At least That way I know who actually watched the stream. But yeah, I'm going to be that screaming old man. Oh, John Kerry. Yeah, this reminds me. All right, here's a story. I read this story last night, and I could have gotten myself in trouble with what I almost got myself with my response to this on Twitter. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammed Javed Zarif claimed in recently leaked audio that John Kerry, when he was serving as Secretary of State during the Obama admin, informed him of more than 200 Israeli operations in Syria. Kerry had been previously accused of colluding with Iranians to undermine the Trump administration. Kerry is now part of the Biden administration, has a seat on National Security Council as a special presidential envoy for climate. Kerry shocked Zarif by revealing that Israel had attacked Iranian targets in Syria more than 200 times. That is, if there should be a congressional investigation in that, and Kerry should be in jail. John Kerry was ratting out Israeli covert operations in Syria directly to Iranian foreign minister. Let that sink in. Wow. That's Noah Pollack of the Foreign Policy-Focused Democratic Alliance Group. Kerry should be in prison for that. Kerry should be in prison. That's all there is to it. If that's true, he should be in prison. And there's no two ways about it. How could that, I mean, that's giving up national secrets, state secrets. That's hurting an ally. You don't, and Israel is our only real ally there in the Middle East. I don't care what other people say. Israel is our only real ally as far as I'm concerned. I don't trust any of these other countries. Yes, under Trump, we did get some new peace agreements signed, but they're recent. They've got no history to them to show that whether or not they're actually going to be honored. What was that Reagan used to say? Trust but verify. Well, I don't trust. I don't trust a lot of these. How could Kerry survive politically with this? It just doesn't make sense to me. It does not make sense to me how John Kerry has survived with that being out there. Because other people in DC knew about it. They had to have known about it. It's not anything new. Nothing is a secret in DC. Nothing. Somebody knows something about everything. But it is. Joy Behar misgendering Caitlyn Jenner. At least Caitlyn had the right comments to it. There's other things more important than that going on in the world right now. But again, that just shows her hypocrisy. Caitlyn's been running around with the surgeries and everything else now for how many years? What's this? Cuomo is now saying he won't resign no matter what the report says. Oh, Governor Cuomo telling people to withhold judgment, and that he, regardless of what the report kicks out on sexual harassment, he's not going to resign. Well, is anybody surprised? If you are, you hadn't paid attention to what these guys say or do. They're not going to say or do anything. They don't have to live up to the same standards that they put out for everybody else to live up to. As Jack Cochran says, Cuomo's got the Great Meemaw Massacre on his, but other than Janice Dean, and that's only because her in-laws were two of those killed by Cuomo's actions, his orders. She's the only reporter spending any time on it. And she's not a political reporter. She's a weatherman, weatherwoman, whatever. Meteorologist. That's her gig. So, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, but I've been told. God, I remember actually having to march them things when I was in the Air Force in basic training. That's one thing I'll give the Air Force over the Marines and the Army. Once you're out of basic, you're done marching. For 99.9% of the people. But wait a minute. Tech school did. Yeah, we still had to march a little bit in tech school. Not much, but still had to march a little bit in tech school. But once we got out of tech school and got to our first duty assignments, marching was over with. There was no group runs. At least not in the career fields I was in. We didn't have to worry about it. Because I got up in the morning, I went to work, spent my 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 hours doing my job, went home, went to bed, got up, did it all over again. Oh, God. Biden receives positive marks on COVID. Yeah, taking credit for everything Trump did. Taking credit for everything Trump did. There's got to be some of us keeping the truth out there that if it weren't for Trump and what he did with Operation Warp Speed, remember when Trump announced Operation Warp Speed and said that he was going to try to have immunizations out there, a vaccine out there by the end of the year, everybody said that he was making no. With no evidence, Trump claims, with no evidence, experts disagree with Trump. Trump's not telling you the truth. Trump's not letting us know exactly what's going on. I'm sorry, there went that cough again. Yeah. And what happened? I'm going to say, I am going to still say that the announcement on those vaccines were held up specifically to hurt Trump. That the announcement that the vaccines were ready to go were held up as late as they were in order specifically so Trump couldn't get credit for them prior to the election or in enough time to do him any good for the election. Remember, Trump said that there would be everybody in the country be able to be getting a vaccination by April. It's April, and nearly every state is saying if you're 16 or older and you want a vaccination, go get it. Come and get them. Free vaccinations. Just be age 16. And who's getting it? And who's the media giving the credit to for that? They ain't giving it to Trump. But when Trump said that was the goal, they told that no, they ain't going to take at least there won't even be a vaccine on the market by April, let alone everybody being able to get one. That was all the experts and all the media. But the media is pushing Biden getting the credit for that. You have got to be absolutely kidding me. That's enough again. If you've listened to me talking last week with Skep about vocational training, I've got background in television broadcasting. When I was still in high school. And we were trained in journalism. That was part of our classes. We had to do newscasts. And it was the who, what, when, where, and why of journalism. That is what we were told and set up to do. And that's what we were graded on. The who, what, where, when, and why. And yes, we did do a lot of crap reporting about stupid stuff in the school. But we also did a lot of reporting about what was going on in town and with the school board, because this was a newscast that was broadcast throughout the school. We went to other schools and talked to their people. And our teacher, our instructor for that, was a real hard ass when it came. If anything didn't look like we had, if we said something, we had something written down to be said, and we couldn't show where we got that fact from, that statement from, he crossed it out. He took that red pencil through it that fast. You just couldn't. Reporters are allowed to lie. And they're given that right by Congress. They're given that right by our courts. They're allowed to lie. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the media. Oh, Lord, another police shooting. What's going on? The police, let's see, Andrew Brown Jr. was killed in his car last Wednesday morning in North Carolina while officers were serving a drug-related search warrant. Oh, God, Crump is involved. Crump is a race hustling lawyer. Crump actually cost me a job. Crump actually did cost me a job. I had been hired into a new position with a state agency, and Crump got involved in something else going on there, and I ended up losing my job over that. Because by the time Crump was done with them, they weren't hiring anybody for a long time. And it was over something that they had no control over because the parents lied. Because parents and other people lied. The city settled, came to an agreement. The state settled, came to agreements. And the state job that I'd been hired for went out the window. Yeah, Crump is a real piece of, yeah. He's Jesse Jackson. He's this generation's Jesse Jackson, and Al Sharpton rolled into one. That's the best way to describe him. He's a race hustling lawyer that knows exactly what buttons to push, what to say. Oh, Lord have mercy. Yeah, I'm there. Have you? I know we all done it. gotten up in the morning and realized and started turning on the news or gone online to read the news to see what's going on overnight. And what do you find? A whole lot of stuff that just gripes you by the short and curlies and won't let go. Oh, somebody gave me a thumbs up on this. I don't know who it was, because it wasn't me. I wonder who gave me a thumbs up on this stream. I've got no idea. What in the world? Well, I screwed that pooch up. Get out of there and get back to this. Somebody stopped by and gave me a thumbs up. I can live with that. I wish it would have said something. Because they didn't pop into chat and say anything. Come flying by and gave me a thumbs up and left. Oh, well. Well, it's been an hour and 23 minutes. I sent out a couple invites, but see, I don't know who all's up this time of the morning or able to do anything. And I'm not on any kind of a schedule like everybody else is. Like I said, I got home from work this morning. It's a little bit after 7. Walked the dog, came back, laid down, trying to get some sleep. And I was in bed about an hour and a little bit. And I get a phone call from work. Supreme Court agrees to decide whether gun owners have the right to carry a weapon in public. Yeah, if the court comes down the way I would say they should come down, which is not only yes, but hell yes, then that's going to take a lot of states, especially California and Washington, D.C., and New York. Going back to the guns, all right? Can you name me one other right that you have to have a minimum 3-day background check to exercise? Now, I could see saying, all right, you want to buy a gun? Show identification that you're an American citizen. Uh-oh. What happened here? It disappeared. The Los Angeles Times article that I was going to read about the Supreme Court disappeared. It's gone. I mean, I've had it there on my page and it just disappeared. Wow. Ain't that something else? Okay. That was interesting at all. See if I can find something on that article again. Or did Twitter kill the whole thing? Twitter may have killed the whole thing. Yeah. They took down their search page, their news page. Ain't that something else? Let me try something here. Hashtag. Oops, no, I didn't get my hashtag. Hashtag Second Amendment. Let's see if something there pops, if anything pops up there. Oh, that's an old cartoon. Been seeing that cartoon for at least 10 years. Okay, looks like she's carrying a Glock. Fully dressed redhead carrying a Glock. I like seeing that. Yeah, I understand a lot of people want to see the girls in the swimsuits with their guns, with their boobs and butt hanging out. That's fine, you know. Sex does sell. But I don't need to see. That's not what I need to see. I need to. I just want to see a. Put in SCOTUS and see what happens there. SCOTUS blog. Okay. I just want to see who's carrying firearms. I want to see everybody who is an American citizen and has the right to vote with a firearm on their hip. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm concerned about. That's where I'd say the line is. If you have the right to vote, then you have the right to carry a firearm. End the conversation. They take one right away, they take them all away. If you got the right, you're a convicted felon and you've done your time, and they want you to get you want your right to vote back. You also get your right to carry a firearm back. If you are so untrustworthy as to be unable to carry a firearm, then you're untrustworthy enough that you shouldn't be allowed to vote. There, I like there's the line as I draw it. I meant to say that over an hour ago, but I didn't. I'm sorry. I am a bit rambly here. But what do you expect? I just turned on the computer and decided to go online. I didn't have any real plans. I need somebody like Jack Cochran or Prospero to stream with, because somebody bounce ideas off. Somebody to keep me online. But yeah, that's pretty wild that now the news page is back. Aha. Let's see what the LA Times has got to say here. Let's see. The Supreme Court agreed Monday to hear a major gun rights claim and decide whether the Second Amendment gives law-abiding individuals the right to carry a loaded handgun when they leave home, regardless of local restrictions. At issue are laws in California, New York, and 6 other states that strictly limit concealed carry. Yeah. Okay, and that's all I can read. Let's see if that's still LA Times. That's still the LA Times. That's LA Times. That's LA Times. It's all LA Times. All right. 6 other states to strictly limit concealed carry permits to those who show they have a special need or good cause. In Los Angeles, those permits are rarely granted. Yeah, the good cause clause. Yeah. Yeah. Usually that good clause is you've grieved the sheriff's or the police commissioners or the mayor's palm enough times with enough money that you're given the right, or you're a local elected official, or an actor or somebody along those lines. Yeah. Well, you're a liberal actor. I doubt if Voight would be able to get a carry permit, because he was a Trump supporter. But yeah, that's let's see here. I want to try this real quick. SCOTUS shall carry. SCOTUS right to carry. Right to carry. That's all right. Let's see if I can get an article here. The cases, all right, yeah. The cases center on longstanding New York law that requires people who apply for a permit to carry a concealed weapon outside the home to prove proper clause, such as the need for self-defense. 2 men were denied permits along with New York State rifle and pistol, argue the law violates the Second Amendment and is antithetical to constitutional freedom itself. The justices will hear arguments during the court's term that begins in October. So it doesn't say when. At least 7 other states have similar laws. New York Times, which knows lower courts have largely rejected challenges to such restrictions. In March, let's see, the Ninth Court, upheld Hawaiian law. Clarence Thomas declared in 2018 the right to keep and bear arms is apparently this court's constitutional orphan. Yeah. Yep, that's true. They will hear other rights, but they absolutely hate about hearing about gun rights. So oh, Santorum, you're such an idiot. I don't understand. You say stupid stuff like American Indians didn't have any kind of a culture or anything. Then you wonder why the media paints Republicans like they do. The American Indians had a culture. There's no denying it. All right. It just wasn't as successful as a culture as the European culture that got here. It wasn't a growing culture, an advancing culture. Now, there's nothing wrong with saying that, in my opinion. But to say they had no culture is just being an idiot and playing into the left-wing media bias against Republicans. Do I think I can talk another 40 minutes and make this an even 2 hours? Sure. I can do my best. We do have some people in the Congress now more proactive about gun control, rather about the right to keep and bear arms. Oh, Lauren Boebert. She's a new House member. She's out of Colorado and owner of the Shooter's Grill. And she's the one that said she was going to be carrying a gun to the floor of the House. And she put out a post here. People who wrote the Constitution were much smarter than the ones trying to abolish it. And the left is going nuts. Some of the people on the left. Let's see here. I doubt you've ever read it. GEDs only get you so far in life. Professor Lauren, kindly tell us who's trying to abolish. While you're at it, can you name one drafter? Then somebody else puts up a picture of the, I'm going to assume it's from a pro-Trump rally. And it says, I agree, there doesn't seem many rocket scientists in this group of people. No one's trying to abolish the Constitution, stop fear mongering. Guess what? No, they are trying to abolish the Constitution. Bits and pieces, not all one fell swoop, but they're trying to do it in bits and pieces. Right now, the big one is taking over the state rights for setting their own rules for voting. The House and the Democrats is trying, they've actually passed the bill, H.R. 1, that literally takes over the setting of election laws, nationalizes election laws, which is, depending on how far you stretch that one little phrase. I mean, sure, if Stretch Armstrong it could probably cover you. Let's see. Our founders couldn't care less what you thought unless you were asking them what they wanted for dinner. Yeah, these people are too much fun. They are just too much freaking fun. Let's see what it say. You're not you're not qualified to comment on either. Only you would admire slave owners. Have you read it? Stop acting like an unhinged lunatic. Now you have your GED. You can roll in junior college and start working on your political science. Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, some of these are really good. I mean, when I say they're good, I mean they're good for showing exactly why the country is in this shape it's in. You know, Twitter and social media, they're good things. They really are. They're good things. But too often, the good things put in the hands of stupid people, or no, stupid people's the wrong word to say. Good things put in the hands of people who are only going to who aren't going to use the tool properly. And next thing you know, it's being severely misused. And, you know, Twitter is actually a good tool. It could be an amazing tool. But it's been turned into a dumpster fire. It's been turned into a dumpster fire. But, well, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to make it another 14 minutes. What else is looking out here? Let's see. Roku says YouTube TV may go dark on its platform in dispute. Okay. Scaled back Jewish pilgrimage in Tunisia. All right, let's see here. Some synagogues got vandalized and some mosques got vandalized. Let's see. They were blaming one set of reports I read this morning. They said it was white Nazis that were responsible for or white supremacists were responsible for the vandalism of the mosque. Who are they going to blame for the synagogues? Oh, okay. Let's see here. All synagogues. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, there's not a whole. SSDD, same stuff, different day. Vague comments and a lot of hate don't live here comments. But I mean, who knows? I mean, could have been self-inflicted. When I mean that, it could have been a member of the synagogue that did it, the synagogues, because it was 4 of them. It could have been a white nationalist or somebody that's pro-Palestine, Palestinian people, and anti-Zionist. Could have been a member of a group of people more gifted with melanin content. And it could have been Muslim attack. So there's plenty out there. Excuse me. There's plenty out there as to who or what could have been it. But we'll never know. Not unless they got video footage. We'll never truly know. What's left here? 10 minutes. Yeah, let me see if I can find something to spend 10 minutes here. I didn't watch the Oscars, so I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less about an acceptance speech to the Black Panthers. Don't care about an all-electric Cadillac. I don't care about the Oscar for the best dressed. Let's see here. We already talked about that. DeSuze and Murrow, I have no clue who that is. Former Georgia State Rep Doug Collins announces he won't run for Georgia Senate or governor. Okay. Santorum's an idiot. Said stupid thing. Let's see here. Got an Ohio rep that is running for Senate. Okay, what's this baseball game? Oh, talking about the Cleveland Browns or Cleveland baseball game didn't go Max's way. Still had a good time in Cleveland. Oh, that's right. The Indians beat the Yankees. That's right. That's right. NFL draft guide. I'm not worrying about the NFL draft. I'm not worrying about football in general. Oh, yeah. Here's something. Uh, illegal immigrants, the children coming across the border, they're getting copies of Kamala's children's book. And who was it? Sticks. He made a comment yesterday. He did a video on it this morning. And he brought up a good question. Is this legal? Who's paying for them books? Is Kamala getting any money off of them? How are these? This seems to be very questionable, or at least a lot of questions need to be raised about this, because the books didn't print themselves for free. Somebody had to buy them. So who bought them? If the federal government bought them, is Kamala making any money off of them? Remember, oh man, long time ago, a year ago. Yeah, a long time ago, a little over a year. And people raising hell for 3 years about how Trump was making money from people staying in his hotels because he was the president and he owned them. Emoluments clause. Well, here's the federal government, maybe, buying Kamala's book that she maybe is getting paid royalties on and giving them out to illegals. So is she personally profiting from these books being handed out? That is a good question. And that's something that legally needs to be looked into. I hope somebody from the House or the Senate brings it up. Ted Cruz, Grassley. I'd like to see that issue brought up. Because she should not be able to make a damn dime off them books. And I don't want to hear that the money is going to charity. No. That's not the way that rolls. No, this is wrong. There are some serious questions to be brought up about this. And I'm hoping other people bring it out and start talking about it. All right. I'm not getting anybody else to pop in. Nobody wants to talk to me, so I sent out some invites. Oh well. Y'all have fun. I'm locking this thing down.